I just finished the season 1 finale of The Wheel of Time, and I am here to talk about it. I am Taran Armstrong. I am a book reader of The Wheel of Time, but I will be talking entirely book spoiler free because who needs that nonsense in your life? I'm going to be talking about the show only the show up until and including the finale of season 1. So let's get into it. I will say right off the bat, I thought this was a good finale. It felt tense throughout the entire episode. It felt like there was a bomb that was about to go off the entire time. People were seemingly dying left and right. Who knows what's happening over here with the army, and then Rand's got a baby, and now what? I thought that was all good, and I do like the mysteries that seem to be deeply seated in this show. They just finally answered who the Dragon Reborn is, but there are so many more questions to be answered now that it's unfortunate that we have to wait until season 2 to find out what they are. However, I do think that there were some limitations to this episode. The pacing did feel a little overwhelming at times, and the budgetary constrictions continue to just like poke at my enjoyment. Just like, hey, and I'm like, I'm trying to ignore you. Stop. I'm suspending disbelief. So that's an issue. I'm going to make a whole video, I think, about the technical limitations of season 1. Not just the CGI and all of that, but the editing, the lighting, the pacing, the blocking, all of it could be improved. And I hope it is in season 2. Apart from that, though, character-wise, this episode was not as compelling as some of the previous ones, but not in a terrible way. Obviously, we had a lot from Rand. We had a lot from Moiraine. Got some Perrin updates. And then Egwene and Nynaeve, they're doing their whole thing. But let's start with Rand. The primary conflict for Rand's character in this episode seems to be the whole join the dark side, which I'm not a fan of. Obviously, it's been the prophecy the whole time. It's been like, he's going to either be a good guy or a bad guy. But these conflicts never really interest me because how often do you see this conflict ending in, oh no, he's actually gonna choose the bad one. He's now a bad guy. Surprise! Like, that would be a great twist, actually. But it doesn't happen often enough to make me actually feel like it could happen. So you've got the dark one, like, oh, choose the baby. Basically, Rand is going to confront the dark one, who is apparently just a dude. And he's like, hey, you can just create anything you want. If you join me, you can have Egwene, who's like totally chill to just be a housewife. Why would he ever realistically choose that option, especially when you're being presented by the Dark One? That's his name, the Dark One. This falls flat to me because this is just a repeat of a conflict that we've seen a few times now throughout the season. In the very first episode, the conflict for Rand was the fact that Egwene wanted to be a wisdom, and that would mean that they couldn't be together. And in that very episode, he resolves that conflict only for it to rear its head again, which can be explained by the fact that he thinks he's the dragon. But we then get it again in episode 7, and again, he resolves it by saying, it's okay, I want you to go to the White Tower, I want you to be you. So for this to be his ultimate test, it's kind of like, yeah, but I already passed all the quizzes. I know all the test material. It's not a big deal. But I will say there are ways I think that this can work, depending on the direction that they move in the next season. We see that there's a true test of his character that happens after, which is that he is now going to bounce. I'm out. I don't want to kill my loved ones like the last dragon did. This is a primary theme, it seems, of season 1. The idea of what it means to be called to a higher purpose and the sacrifices you have to make in order to take up that call. This is something that Robert Jordan cared deeply about when he wrote the books. He wanted the idea of a chosen one story to be a little more, can I not? That doesn't sound very fun, which I do think the show has accomplished very well here in season 1. So moving forward, the question is, where does Rand go and what does he do? If there's one universal about all conflict, it's that you can't run from it. So we know that this is not going to last. At some point, he's going to have to confront the fact that he is a danger to everyone around him. And then we got Moiraine. Oh, Moiraine! I have loved Moiraine this season. I have found her character to be endlessly fascinating and so well portrayed. I love every bit of it. I love that she has left Lan behind, and we know why. But to Rand, she's a stone. She's not gonna let him in. Of course not. When Rand says, "Hey, if you're gonna die when I do this, then you should stay behind," it's not even a question to her. This has been her purpose. She understands what she's about to sacrifice. She always has, except she ends up sacrificing something that I don't think she anticipated she would. She's still alive at the end of this season, but she can't channel. Moraine's character arc is the best of the entire season. Her utter dedication to this mission has stripped away, slowly, one by one, every piece of her soul. She's had to be ruthless. She's had to make very tough decisions and manipulate people and hurt people to get where she needed to go. She sacrificed her place at the tower, her identity as an Aes Sedai, her relationship with the person she cares the most about as she heads through the Blight with Rand expecting to die. But instead, she has been stripped of the very thing that makes her effective at accomplishing her mission, and the mission is not over. We saw what it did to Logain. He is begging to die. We saw what just losing the bond did to Steppen. This is devastating on so many levels for Moiraine. For me, the question now is, how does she survive this? Can she survive this? And in order to survive this, will she lean on others? Will she let Lan back in? Will she accept the support of the kids that she dragged to the edge of the world? There's definitely a big test of Moraine's character coming in season 2, and I am here for it. Nynaeve and Lan. We had Nynaeve being willing to let Lan go as a sort of continuation of her character arc. Lan seems to continue to be trapped in his conflict between his sense of honor and duty and the personal desire that he has for Nynaeve. And Egwene is having to face the idea of losing those around her. Nynaeve tells her she will never be alone. Overall, I didn't feel super satisfied with any of the endings to these arcs. I get that there's not a lot of time in an 8-episode season. It's an epic fantasy show. There's plenty to go here. I would have liked a cleaner story for each of these characters. They felt a little underserved here at the end. But considering that I do think that they nailed Rand and Moiraine, I'm okay. We did get some more from Perrin in this episode, which I was very appreciative of. He starts by accidentally killing his wife. Finds out he has some connection to wolves who heal him and save him a couple times. He learns about the Way of the Leaf, which is a pacifist philosophy, and this obviously calls to him as somebody that, when using a weapon, doing violence, did a terrible thing. He's clearly clung to this philosophy. He talks about it in episode 7, but is now here in episode 8 finding yet another conflict. The Way of the Leaf is all well and good in theory to make you feel good about not participating in violence, but when your friends are in danger and things are looking very bleak, what do you do then? So with a little help from Loyal, he tries to find an alternative. But as I said earlier, trying to run from your problems doesn't work. They're going to chase you down. And Perrin comes face to face with Taran, the mysterious man that has been tracking them, following them all season long. And he's faced with the conflict of, do I pick up an axe and try to fight, or do I do nothing? And in the end, he does both. He picks up the axe and also does nothing. And in many ways, that's the worst of both worlds. So let's talk about what I liked and what I didn't like about this episode. I liked the intro. We get to meet Luz Theron. We get to see what the world was like before the breaking. This is very cool stuff. And it ties into what we see with Rand's story in an interesting way. I also liked pretty much everything with Rand and Moiraine. Again, I love Moraine's character in the show. I think that everything that she has been doing has been fantastic. I love this entire journey with Rand, the chemistry between the two of them. This was all great. I also liked Taran coming in, being evil. I don't know what he's up to, but it's cool. I also liked the ending with the ships coming and the big wave. Very ominous, very mysterious. Great setup. Who are these people? What are they doing? What are they up to? Let's find out. There were some misses for me, though. Primarily the battle scene. I gotta be honest, I didn't fully understand the goal of the whole thing. Was it to actually stop the Trollocs, or was it to buy time to get the word out? And then, like, why didn't the channeling women just, like, go up to the wall to help there? I didn't really get that. And overall, as I said, some budgetary constraints. It felt like 5 of the same close-up shot of Agelmar with his crossbow, like that was the whole choo choo, and then outside lots of CGI Trollocs and choo choo choo, and then and then that was it. You know, like, it worked. I got it. It conveyed the point of what was happening, but I was a little underwhelmed. I also felt like Egwene healing Nynaeve was like, what? Because I was emotional. I was like, oh my God, Nynaeve, sacrificing herself. Oh no, we're gonna lose Nynaeve. And then she's all burned up, and Egwene's crying, and all of a sudden it was like, no, she's good. Don't worry about it. Like, it just, again, it didn't feel like there was enough room to breathe. And then another thing, even though I loved the Taran of it all, out of nowhere they're just like, all right, move the chair, time to do the rocks. It's like, what's this all about? Well, we've got this horn in here that's it's gonna call the forces to do the thing at the battle, and no, we can't blow it. It's for the dragon, and in the meantime, the dragon's holding a baby and got a statue and doing all sorts of things. It's like, what? Wow, there's so much happening, so many things being introduced. Overall, I felt like I love a finale that just slams you with a bunch of mysteries. I love that. I do. I was a fan of Lost. However, I do also want some resolutions. I want some answers to things, and I don't know that we got enough here. There are definitely some things that were hinted at, and I appreciate those hints. But I felt like we could have used one big, like, reveal. Like, one big answer. And I know we got that in episode 7. I get that. That was the big dragon reveal. And this is me as a book reader. I already know a lot of these answers. But I felt like I wanted a piece of meat to chew on while I contemplated all the other questions. And I just don't know that I got that. So my overall impression of this episode is that all the pieces were there. They were. There's clearly a very talented writing team that has a very good vision for what this show is. I see it. I see what their vision is, and I think it's fantastic. So those pieces exist. They are there. The execution of these ideas does not always meet the vision. And it's held together. It works. As a whole picture, it works. It's good. But it does feel a little fragile. It does feel like there are some seams, there are some cracks, and if you poked it too much, it might all fall apart. But I will say this, I so very much appreciate the ambition and the scale of what they're trying to do here. Even though it does sometimes feel barely held together, that means that they do have a functioning, fantastic, epically scaled fantasy TV show from the Wheel of Time books. I never thought that would ever exist in my life. I mean, I've been a fan of these books for a long time, and I'm so grateful that we have something that is this ambitious, that is trying to genuinely capture the spirit of the books in such a bold way. I have loved this series, and I don't care if you want to come for me for this, but I enjoyed this first season more than I enjoyed the book, The Eye of the World. I think that there have been a lot of improvements. Some things have not been on par with the books, but some things have been dramatically improved, and those things mattered more to me. And so I really enjoyed this, seams and all. But don't worry, I am not done talking about the Wheel of Time. I am, as I said, going to maybe create some kind of video about these seams, the technical aspects of the show that I felt were lacking throughout the season. I'm also kind of interested in approaching this from a more book-focused perspective. So if you want to hear that as well, let me know in the comments what you're interested in terms of more Wheel of Time content in general, and I will do my best to oblige. But in general, please just let me know if you have something that you want me to cover, a book you want me to read, a show you want me to watch that's fantasy or sci-fi, a character that you find really interesting that you'd like me to analyze. Just let me know. I am definitely open. I read a lot. I watch a lot. So I would love to talk about all kinds of things. So let me know what you think. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and also the like button on the video, and tell all your friends about this very specific fantasy YouTube channel that they're definitely going to be interested in, just as interested as all my friends when I told them to read The Wheel of Time. But very seriously, anything that you can do to help share the video and the channel in general is very much appreciated. Our goal here is to conquer all of Fantasyland. And, you know, it's a very fantasy thing to do, to conquer, right? We're conquerors. So let's go out and do it. Let's conquer. So thank you again, and I will see you next time.